Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about GTA 6 hacker that was, like, what was it called? Man, I can't even think of the word. Basically, the teenage kid that hacked into the system, they were going to book him, and then he's getting away scot-free. We're going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. Dev confirms that one planet is bigger than the Division 2's entire map, and there's supposed to be like 5 or 6 planets in that game. We're going to talk about Sony agrees to the 10-year Call of Duty deal with Microsoft. So in the very beginning, when they said, hey, well, once we buy it, we'll have a deal for you. And Ryan's like, I don't want your deal. I want your deal to go shove it up your ass, Phil, basically. And now they've signed a 10-year deal, so we'll talk about that as well. If you like this type of content, we talk to chat live Monday through Thursday. This week I'm on vacation, so this is the last show of the week, the live show of the week. We're live from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. You can hit that like button. You can hit the subscribe button. You can also, above and beyond that, hit the membership button as little as $5. Let's go to chat and see how many people are here right now. We got morning Travis, morning Kylo, morning Water Bear, morning Dustin. What's going on, boss? Who else are we missing here? Anybody else? Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? What's going on, Sarge? Yeah, so this will be the last show of the week for me. We have basically content for this week, and I have no content for next week for Monday and Tuesday, and we'll be back on Wednesday evening. We'll be back, and we might do a show then. So trying to figure out what to put on for next week. But this week we have Exo Primal starting tomorrow. It'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's about an hour long. Then there's one in the evening, about 30, 40 minutes long. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, Wednesday and Thursday, there's about 2 hours, 2-hour playthroughs of Exo Primal, as well as I do commentary as I played. You guys can watch that. All right. So let's start off with Grand Theft Auto. Let's start off with Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 6 hacker has been deemed unfit to stand trial. The teen threatened to release GTA 6 source code in the Slack message. Says to the prosecutor, he says, the teenage charged with hacking and then blackmailing a string of companies, including Uber, NVIDIA, and GTA 6 developer Rockstar, has been deemed unfit to stand trial. An 18-year-old Aaron Cortatz, who was 17 as part of the Lapis hacking group, they leaked dozens of assets taken from the then unannounced Grand Theft Auto 6. It's still unannounced. What do you mean unannounced Grand Theft Auto? Then they haven't announced it yet. There's been no official statement of Grand Theft Auto 6. It is standing trial for 12 offenses, including 3 counts of blackmail, 2 counts of fraud, and 6 counts under Computer Misuse Act. According to Reuters, the teenage hacker Rockstar sent a Slack message to all Rockstar staff threatening to release a source code. A second teenager, who at 17 has not been named and also been charged with 2 counts of blackmail, 2 counts of fraud, and 3 charges under the Computer Misuse Act, although they are not thought to have been involved in the hacking of Rockstar games. Now, the teenager has now been assessed by a psychiatric, and he says he's not fit to stand trial. And the jury will not determine if he's guilty, but instead decide if they did or did not commit the acts. So Kurtzitz, the previous plead guilty to 1 count of fraud and 2 offenses under the Computer Misuse Act, as well as breaching bail conditions. Now, the enormous Grand Theft Auto 6 leak of work-in-progress development materials occurred last September, leaking 90-plus screenshots and videos. And in a statement published with the company Return to Work, Rockstar admitted that he had suffered a network insurgency, a hack from which early development footage of the GTA 6 had been taken, and acknowledged it was extremely disappointed that it happened. So this person is obviously unfit to stand trial. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient that you could hack into how many companies did he hack into? Uber, NVIDIA, and Rockstar. Formed multiple standing trial for 12 offenses, including 3 counts of blackmail, 2 counts of fraud, and 6 counts of computer misuse act. And this dude is unfit to go to court, so they're like, nah, he's okay, right? He might not get charged with anything. With anything. Right? So obviously they're giving him he can't go to court, so they're just looking at the acts of what it's going to be. He literally might get off scot-free or with the slap on the wrist with some of the stuff that he's doing. I find this pretty funny, considering I think me and Sarge on one of the podcasts we were talking about that we said that nothing would happen to this. Now obviously something should happen with this. Okay, this is criminal acts here, regardless if it's on a video game company or not. He also hacked into two other companies and blackmailed them as well. Okay, so it is funny to me that at the time 17, so they have to book him as a minor, right? Because when he did the crime, he was under the age of 18, so they can't book him as an adult. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this trial. Well, I don't even know if it's going to be a trial. With this news story in the next couple of months or weeks. What do you guys think? Boss says give his ass 25. What do you guys think in chat? Do you guys think he should get... I personally think he should get the book thrown at him. I mean, you break a law, you have to take the time, right? Whatever that is. Is it maybe he works for the company for unpaid for the next 10 years? You know what I mean? Whatever. He literally blackmailed the company. Obviously, he did it once. He did it again, and then he did it a third time. So it's not like he's going to learn his lesson. He's literally, that's what he's going to do. The book, yeah, just throw the whole book at him, like an actual book. Just throw a book at him. Well, you have non-licensed people in court and playing major roles, so I'm not surprised. Exactly, boss. Right? Maybe the person that's going to do his trial is not even a lawyer. Write on a chalkboard 200 times, I will not hack into Rockstar. This is not the 80s, Water. They're not going to make him write like Bart Simpson on the chalkboard. Now all I want is to get a literal book thrown at him. That's what I'm saying. Just throw an actual book, the heaviest book you can get, and just chuck it at him. A couple times. Would that count as corporal punishment? Kylo says Rockstar deserves it. What do you mean Rockstar deserves it? In what way does Rockstar deserve being hacked by somebody into their files to release their game or early access of their game or the source code of the game, Kylo? In what world is that justified to you? Where did Rockstar hurt you? Show me on the cartridge. Hold up the cartridge and point to where they hurt you. In the big rock candy mountains, all the jails are made of tin. You think he could write? He could type. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, no one writes anymore. Definitely deserves something. I'm just salty. Rockstar doesn't talk at all, and their fans are about anything they'll do. Look, we all like a good, story of what the leaks are, what's happening with the game. But look, a crime is a crime. A crime's a crime. And if he just look, here's the best part. If he just hacked it and released the stuff, that means he's doing it because he just wants to release it to the public and stuff like that, which is still a crime in itself. But as soon as he started blackmailing people for the source code, that's next level, right? That's a 17-year-old kid that watched way too many movies, maybe, perhaps, okay, and then was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna hold them for ransom, and I'm gonna hold the source code for ransom, and then try to get them to pay me. Like, that's criminal shit. You leaking something, like someone's like, hey, don't say anything, but here's some footage of Grand Theft Auto 6, and shh, don't tell you where you got it. That's one thing. But this dude was like, that's right, I got your code. I'm releasing all the stuff. and you're going to do nothing. You're going to pay me. And what did he ask for? He asked for something ridiculous, right? It was like $50,000 because obviously the kid doesn't know. It's like Austin Powers back in the day when he's like, $1 million. Meanwhile, they laughed at him. They're like, $1 million. Okay. Right? Because $1 million is not $1 million anymore. They're like, 1 billion. He has like, give me 50,000 and a candy bar. You're like, what? 50,000? What's wrong with you? You're gonna ask because if he asked for too much, it would have been another completely different level. Right? Would have been a completely different level. Something needs to happen to him because he can still release the coding to somebody. Right? He might have already done it. Right? Who's to say that he didn't do it? Or he made up a backup drive and now it's in his room somewhere. And then when he goes to prison, he's like, if you put me in prison, I'm going to release. You know what I mean? Like, that's a movie. That could be a whole movie. Right? It's like the Gran Turismo of the kid becoming a race car driver because he played a race car. It could be a movie about Rockstar making Grand Theft Auto 6 with a kid that's 17 years old that holds him for ransom and then still has it while he goes to prison. That's a good story right there. Just writes itself. Yeah, the fact that he held the source code for ransom is next level criminal. Yeah. And he knew what he was doing, but just didn't know what the value of money was. Like, I'm going to ask for $500. His friend's like, no, you gotta ask for more than that. All right, 50,000? Yeah, 50,000 sounds good. We can get 2 new bikes in Grand Theft Auto. They don't actually ride bikes. They're kids, right? They don't go outside. No doubt in my mind he'll do it again. Oh, for sure. He's already planning it. While he's getting convicted, right? The psychiatric guy was probably like, look, we're going to do some classes here. You're not going to do this again, are you? He's like, no. Like, no, you can't nod your head when you say no with your mouth. You can't nod your head yes. I can't write this note to say that you're unfit if you're doing that. And they're like, he's like, okay, I won't do it again. Like, no, you're doing it again. You're doing it again. You're shaking your head yes when you said no. You have to say no when you're saying, are you going to do this again? That's why the psychiatric was like, yeah, he's unfit. He's unfit because if they put him in front of a court, he's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Get the AI on it. We need a movie, right? I'll write a script up tonight. I'll ask ChatGPT to write a script, and then we'll get Dolly to make the storyboards, and then we'll get another AI program to just like make the movie. It'll be out by next week. Don't worry about it, boss. It's a movie just announced. Adam Driver playing the main dude. Adam Driver playing the main dude for what, Travis? Hell yeah, 2 bikes, a slice of pizza down the road. That's right. That wasn't me shaking my head. It was nerves ticking, I promise. Yeah. The Oppressor Mortal Kombat 2 is legit. $100 in real life money in GTA Online. Oh, the MK2 is legit. $100 in real life money in GTA Online. Well, didn't they charge like $100 for that plane in there? When did they charge like $100 for the plane and the ship, like the yacht or whatever it was? It's like $100 to get the yacht. Get out of here, man! Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? I can't imagine paying $100 for a virtual boat. I couldn't wrap my brain around this back in 2000. It was like 2007, 2008 when I was playing Second Life and people were paying hundreds of dollars for like server space to get virtual stores. I was just like, I don't get it. I mean, I made my money on there as well, but I still don't get it. Because I didn't pay money. I made money. You can get anything in GTA Online with the game cash, bro. Yeah, but the game cash, you have to play like an insane amount of hours, though. Like an insane amount of hours. It's like a job, like literally a job. You either work in real life to get money for $100 and then pay $100, or work in the realm as a fake criminal boss. Not even a boss, right? 8 mil is grinding. Yeah, that's insane. Don't have to buy anything. Dabstick. Are you still delusional enough to think that you're gonna put in like 3,000 hours? And you might, right? You might, but 3,000 hours to like get the enough money in the game, right? Because they nerfed, right? And here's how you know they want you to grind. Because I remember there was a mission that you would do. It was at the airport. It was the fastest one to do. You do a 4-man team. You would go do the airport mission to steal the plane, and you would get a really cool, like I think it was like $30 million or whatever it was, some ridiculous thing. And people would do it over and over. And Rockstar was like, yeah, no. And they nerfed it, just like Diablo nerfed some dungeons, right? It's the exact same thing. They nerfed it because they didn't want you getting the money fast enough so you can go buy the stuff that they were going to bring to the store, right? Hence why they got rid of the armored cars for the longest time, and they just brought them back. Just have 3 other good players do all the heists. Pretty easy. My online account has about 1 billion, and I have like 100 hours. I'm pretty sure that the stuff that you have to get in the game is like ridiculously expensive. Because I have a couple bill, but I still can't afford anything. Crazy how video games have ensured you will never need a real job. Now you can sell shit on Virtual Farm. Did you see in a reference, not in video games though, Travis? You see that video, the news story I posted in general video game chat, where the NFL player who played professional football, he retired, okay, and he made $11 million in selling Pokemon cards. He made more money selling Pokemon cards than he did playing in the NFL. Let's look up. Let me look up. Let's see. Let's see. Planes in GTA 5. Let's see. We got. You can get the most expensive. The most expensive thing is 6.5 mil. That's for the P996 Lazar. Then you have a Titan, which is 2 mil. Then you have 3.8 mil for the B11 Strike Force. You got the 5.9 mil for the RM10. 3.9. This is 10 mil for the Luxor Deluxe. Let's do it. Let's do a little homework here. Let's see. All right, let's see. This is from 2022. Usually go to many GTA Online fans make quick millions are in Diamond Casino Heist and the KO Presco Heist. Okay. And let's see. Let's see how much you can make. GTA has a full way of to earn money easily sometimes. Sometimes easily, sometimes in the thousands, sometimes even in the hundreds of thousands. Each player will have their preference on how they want to go about it. Whether the collection missions, special races, heist missions, gamers will always find the satisfying way of earning. So the article hopes to inform the GTA fans on how easily to make $1 million in GTA Online. There are different ways for the GTA Online players to earn millions of dollars while playing. It will also just depend on the individual's preference. Let's see. The first million, they will not have already earned enough to purchase the arcade or Costa submarine. In their cases, they will also pursue a different avenue of earning. Time trials in GTA Online are a great way to earn cash in the game quickly, but completely a single trial of topping the high score players can earn around $100,000 each time. Well, that's if you get the high score, right? This means that the games can expect to do 10 or more trials within an hour and easily reach the first $1 million with this. They can also continue to make millions with the heist after purchasing an arcade or agency business. Now, sometimes there might even be the opportunity for players to reap the rewards for double or triple cash in role-playing, making it endeavors and the fastest of all ways. The few collectible missions are available in GTA Online, which gamers can compete and earn a few $1,000s per mission, which payout is around $250,000 upon full completion. Now, these jobs include collections of all comic book toys, completing the bounty hunter missions, and finishing a mysterious job available in the game. Now, upon completion of these collectible missions, as well as earning a few $1,000s per person or items collected and disposed of players to receive a finishing bonus of $250,000. After the aforementioned ways of making hundreds of thousands of dollars, gamers also complete in the Mount Chiliad mystery to round up them in at least their first $1 million. These jobs can also be achieved without gamers having to spend very much of their hard-earned cash, indeed, at any at all. Usually a go-to that many of the GTA Online fans take a quick $1 million, the Diamond Casino heist. Okay, so let's take this and see how long that takes. Okay. And then doing the jobs requires gamers to have purchased the arcade or submarine beforehand. So you have to buy this stuff before you get to the actual casino heist, right? Many gamers will immediately assume that this would be the fastest way to make easy million has been proven above. This is not always the case. So, all right, let's go to, let's see. Oop. Okay, all depends on your crew. Some people say it takes about 20 minutes max if everyone knows what they're doing. Okay, so let's do this in realistic, right? If you have 4 people that you play with, then this would be the most effective way to do it. But to get up to that point, you have to put some time in, right? You're not doing this the heist right away. You're only making a couple thousand, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to get up to your first million. Then you have to buy the thing. Then you're back down. Then you have to build up again, right? So once you're all said and done, you can do it in around 15 to 20 minutes, right? How long does it take you, Dabstick? But I would guess probably 600 to 800 million, bro. We'll strap post Discord pics when I get home. That's cool. Is split 4 ways. Right. And isn't it split based on what you do? So you're not always, it's not split exactly 4 ways, is it? So this is if it goes completely smooth. But if you have no friends, you have to do random matchmaking, and you get into the thing, and people don't know what they're doing, and it fails, well, then that's 10 minutes failed. And then you have to start over again, right? And then you die, and you guys start over again. So unless you have a crew that knows exactly what they're doing, okay, you could do it in, I'll even say 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes. And what's the payout? What's the payout? Depending on the approach, prep takes 1 to 4 hours max, and the heist can be done in 15 to 20 minutes if done right. Depending on approach, prep takes 1 to 4 hours. Let's see. People have completed the diamond heist. Was it worth the effort? Best strategy and how long did it take? This was 4 years ago. See, we're going down the rabbit hole now. I've done it 5 times now. Several times I've gotten over $1 million for only me after all fees. People saying you have to split 1.4 million haven't done the heist correctly. Earn back my money and more in no time. One person says, I don't think it's worth it. Me and my cousin spent a lot of time on prep for him to get $600,000 on 85% cut. If you really want to make money, I would say you have to do the cocaine lockup, and you don't have to spend the money on supplies. The upgrades are expensive, but you're also worth every penny. If you're successful in the previous sales, you make more in the future, and if you have at least one friend to help you, it's fairly easy with just 2 people selling products. I have easily broken even the lockup in the most I made off of it on one sale is 1.3 to 1.6 mil. I don't really remember, but it's around that. With the bonus, I got that bonus because it's also delivered products successfully. Lobby, and you get extra money. If you're successful on previous sales, you make more in the future. If you're only getting 650,000 on an 85% cut, then I'm not really sure what's gone wrong, and I'm getting 700,000 on the 50% cut. So I haven't played in years, so I don't know what they changed or whatnot. So maybe perhaps now they gave a better thing, but it's still grinding and grinding and grinding, because you're not only spending money or making money on the casino heist, right? You're spending money buying ammo, you're spending money buying new car parts and fixing up your car and buying the garages and buying the houses. So you're always doing something, right? It's still a grind fest, right? You might not think you're not playing for the longer period of time, but if you're playing for 4 hours, okay, let's say you make $1 million. All right, so let's say you make $4 million an hour, right? Let's say it takes 15 minutes to do the heist. If you have a perfect crew and you're running through it and you do it 4 times, you make $4 million for that hour. Okay, cool. You're going to be buying stuff. You're going to be spending stuff. I still think the money glitching things. Rather broad time frame. I mean, I'm just going off of multiple things I've read, right? They say it takes anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes if you have a crew that knows what they're doing. If you don't have a crew that knows what they're doing, right, you would have more problems. 1 to 4 hours for 800,000, that's great. Yeah, maybe if I was in a real life. Whose statement? So you buy with and you're getting this is when you get a good item. They're following Star Wars MacGuffin logic. I don't know what you're talking about, Travis. Best way to make money is soloing the KO Presidio. What is that, Kyle? Is that is that one of the heists? 1 to 4 hours for 800,000. Solo at best. You're guaranteed at least $1 million every completion. If you're good at doing this, it takes about an hour. But then so let's go into the gaming factor, right? There's some people that can just run the same thing over and over, right? I mean, obviously, we see it in Diablo, right? People run Diablo dungeons over and over, the Nightmare dungeons, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over to get grind. But then it starts to work yourself on it, right? Like, obviously, if you're grinding in Grand Theft Auto, I'm assuming. Okay, because again, I haven't played in a while. But if I did the heist maybe 3 times, I would probably be good, right? Because after that, I'll be like, I don't want to run it again, because then it becomes monotonous. At least to me, right? At least to me. So then you go do something else, right? And then you're like, well, I'm not making enough money on this one. So then you're forced to go back and do the heist again. It takes an hour to set up. It takes an hour. This dude said 1 to 4 hours. Like, how many times did you mess up? Why is this love of God would it take you 4 hours? When I read these forums here that I've read, Dabstick, there's people on these forums that say it takes longer than what you think, and then there are other people just blow right through it. I truly believe it's based on your skill level as well, right? Newest, it's 3 years old now. Yeah. Right. So obviously, look, no matter what you guys say is how fast you can do something, the reason that Grand Theft Auto is one of the highest paid video games of all time is because people are paying shark cards, right? Let's see what Rockstar. Grand Theft Auto 5 still makes $15,000 every 10 minutes. This translates to approximately 25 million every 10 days and 1 billion per year. To date, the game earns over 6 billion. GTA Online racks in about 800 million yearly from shark cards alone. So here's my point. The majority of people that play this game, buy shark cards. The majority. Okay. Because if people weren't buying shark cards, you better believe Grand Theft Auto 6 would have came out 5 years ago. Okay? So regardless on how you guys run the system and how you make millions of dollars, okay, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding says that they're making billions of dollars a year off shark cards. So they make it grindy on purpose so people then go buy shark cards because they don't have the time to put in. The average person, I know it's hard to believe because the people in this chat have way more time in gaming than the average person. The average person does 2 to 6 hours a week. Now, that's one game. If I sit down and play Grand Theft Auto, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a heist. I sit down. I have to build up to that point. Maybe it takes, to build up to get to $1 million in the beginning, it's going to take you a little bit, right? A couple hours. It might take them 3 weeks for the people that are just starting to play. And then they start to do the heists. Then they start failing the heists. And they're like, this is not fun, right? It's like Sea of Thieves, sort of like get your treasure, and then someone ganks you, and then you kind of lose it. Okay? So majority of the people, like, I don't have the time for this. So you're telling me I could just buy a shark card and then get that cool plane? And that's what they do. Because their time is more valuable than the money that they make. And that's why Grand Theft Auto is making $6 billion a year off shark cards. Right. They would have a game. Reason why we can't take their time making GTA 6. Right. 15K a minute. That's proof an idiot is born every minute, yeah. They're still racking in the moolah. Yep. And this is why Grand Theft Auto 6 is not out yet. That's how I was, Kylo. When I played, I never buy microtransactions. Is you go over the island with the drug cartel, and you go over the mansion with Rob with the diamonds, coke, and safe. Me and Sarge played every single heist back in the day. Sarge, would you play the heist if we did the heist? If we had a group, 4 people, we had 4 people to do the heist on stream, would you do it? It was fun doing the heist back in the day. I don't care about the money or anything. Just the actual action on the screen. When you have, I remember that one mission you split up. You split up. Someone does the stakeout, and the other person. I would do it. I would download the game again and play for the heist. It would probably take. See, this is the problem. I would have to remember if I haven't enough resources to do what we need to do. All right. Let's go from that to the next story. The next story is Sony agrees to the 10-year Call of Duty deal with Microsoft. The bitter battle over Call of Duty and the PlayStation is over as Sony signs the Microsoft deal. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no. What's going to happen? Sony has agreed to a 10-year deal for Call of Duty with Microsoft to keep the franchise of PlayStation after the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said Sony and Microsoft have agreed to, quote, binding agreements to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Did anyone think this wasn't going to happen? Like, seriously. Did anyone think that this deal wasn't going to happen? You're too rusty and we don't have the crew that knows the heist. We do. Kylo knows the heist, right? Jesse could do the heist. Dabstick knows the heist. We would be the guys that don't know the heist because we haven't played in years, right? But we would have people be able to do to help us through. We're not going with a bunch of randoms. So let's continue. This ends a bitter battle between the companies that have been waged both privately and publicly over the past year and a half, actually, after Microsoft announced its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard in January of 2022. Phil Spencer in a tweet says, "We are pleased to announce that Microsoft and PlayStation have signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We look forward to the future where players globally have more choice to play their favorable games or their favorite games." Brad Smith says, "From day one of this acquisition, we've been committed to addressing the concerns of the regulatory and a platform and the game developers and the consumers. And even after we cross the finish line for the deals approved, we will remain focused on ensuring that Call of Duty remains available on," and what does he say? On all, be available on more platforms and more consumers than before. So, while Microsoft's initial announcement doesn't mention 10 years for Call of Duty on PlayStation, that's right, it doesn't, right? It might be more, could be less. Kerry Perez, head of global communication at Xbox, confirmed the 10-year commitment to The Verge, and Perez later confirmed at The Verge that the deal is only for Call of Duty. Dun, dun, dun! Only for Call of Duty. So that makes the deal similar to the 10-year agreement between Microsoft and Nintendo, but not the various deals Microsoft has struck with NVIDIA and any other cloud gaming platforms to bring Call of Duty and other Xbox/Activision games to a rival service. Now, Microsoft's original deal offered to Sony in January included keeping all existing Activision console titles on Sony, including future versions of Call of Duty franchise or any other current Activision franchise on Sony through December 31st, 2027. The deal terms have clearly changed since the opening offer, with the extension to 10 years that limited just Call of Duty. Now, that kind of hurts, right? That kind of hurts because they were trying to negotiate, including all future, right? So all existing Activision console titles on Sony, including future versions of Call of Duty, and now it's just 10 years of Call of Duty. Okay. So Sony has resisted signing Call of Duty deal with Microsoft after the company first offered a 10-year contract in December of 2022. Instead, in filings to regulatories, Sony has repeatedly maintained that the fears Microsoft could take Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox or even sabotage PlayStation versions of the game. But we hear a bombshell email from PlayStation chief Ryan read out in court during the FTC that Microsoft's hearing, revealing that it wasn't actually worried about the Call of Duty exclusively. It was pretty sure that it will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come. Now, Microsoft lawyers argued that Ryan didn't initially have concerns about the deal and had spoken to Xbox chief Phil Spencer to seek insurance about Call of Duty in January of 2022. Now, the deal comes after months of discussion and counter offers over the past 18 months between Microsoft and Sony over the future of Activision's content on PlayStation. Now, during the FTC and Microsoft's hearing, it was also revealed that the August of 26 email from Xbox chief Spencer and to PlayStation chief Ryan, including the list of Activision games that would remain on PlayStation, and Ryan wasn't happy. Quote, "It wasn't not a meaningful list. This list represented a particular selection of older titles that will remain on PlayStation. For example, Overwatch is on there, but Overwatch 2 is not on there, and the current version of the game." This email clearly led to breakdown of the communication between Spencer and Ryan. Just days after it was sent, Spencer told The Verge of Call of Duty would remain on PlayStation for at least several more years beyond the current Sony contract. Ryan wasn't happy about Spencer going public with the contract negotiations and the offer, and was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact of our gamers. Now, Ryan also said at the time that he hadn't intended to commit on that and understood the private business discussion, but I feel it need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum. He says, "I just want to block the merger." Jim Ryan confirmed the meeting during a testimony in the FTC versus Microsoft hearing. "I told him, Bobby Kotick, that I thought the transaction was anti-competitive, and I hope that the regulatories would do their job and block it." Kotick apparently wanted to cover himself with the extended Call of Duty deal with Sony, and just in case Microsoft's transaction didn't go through at the time, Microsoft was waving around the contract in front of the world's media, trying to tempt Sony into signing the deal. They should have at the time. But Microsoft, we can't go back now, right? Microsoft was always maintained to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, arguing it doesn't make financial sense to pull the game from Sony's console. What I said when they made the deal, or originally said they were going to buy the company. I was like, it'd be stupid to take it off. They want to make their $70 billion back as fast as possible. Xbox Phil Spencer tried to settle the argument in November before appearing in court last month and reiterating under oath that Call of Duty would remain on PlayStation 5. All eyes are now on regulatory situation in the UK after Microsoft's proposed deal was blocked earlier this year, and Microsoft is participating in the case management conference in the UK's Competition Appeal Tribunal tomorrow, alongside the Competition and Marketing Authority. CMA. The conference has been called to consider the applications made jointly by other parties to ignore the proceeding pending further discussion between the CMA and Microsoft. Both the CMA and Microsoft agreed earlier this week to pause their legal battles to negotiate on how the transaction might be modified in order to address the CMA's cloud gaming concerns. And the CMA also warned earlier this week that Microsoft's proposal may lead to new merge investigations, and the discussion with Microsoft were in early stages. Despite that, the CMA went on to issue a notice of extension for its overall investigation into the deal and moving the date from the final order from the July 18th to August 29th. And Microsoft is hoping to close its Activision deal by its July 18th deadline, which is tomorrow, right? Yeah. But it's possible to see a small delay to the close to allow UK situation to be resolved. There you go. It's funny to me, right? And obviously, it more plays out for the internet, right? Jim Ryan's like, I don't want you to take away. I don't want your deal. I don't want your deal. It wasn't enough. And they fought to get that 10-year deal, right? So there was something nice that Jim Ryan did because he fought for what he did. Because they were offering 5-year deals before, I believe. It wasn't satisfying enough. And then they started giving 10-year deals to other people. And then they went to PlayStation, and Jim Ryan's like, I don't want the 10-year deal either, right? And now they have to sign, right? Because now they have to. But they did fight for more years, so they did get more years out of it, even though I think they were going to stay on PlayStation longer than the 10 years because they got to make their money back, right? But at the same time, I don't think Jim Ryan was looking at it going, well, yeah, they're going to take it away from us. I truly don't believe he thinks they're going to take it away from him. It would just be dumb. But he was trying to negotiate what PlayStation should get, and they did. They got a better deal than they would have gotten, but they still got a deal that they don't want because obviously they didn't want Microsoft to own Activision and Call of Duty. Let's see what you guys are saying inside of chat here. So wanted 10 extra months to sign the deal. You're rusty, and we have already read that. Basically, Microsoft and Activision deal was like Thanos, inevitable. Travis says, unless it's an apocalypse happens. So either in 10 years, Sony is going to lose a chunk of money or come up with their COD competitor within the next 10 years. Exactly, Water. And this is why they've made the shift, right? Because since the time of when they were buying Microsoft, Sony has decided to not only buy Bungie, but also dedicate themselves, within this last 18 months, has dedicated themselves to making 12 live service games, okay? Because they know Call of Duty is such a big player that they can't make a game to compete against Call of Duty, but they can make multiple games that compete against Call of Duty. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to make a game to compete against Call of Duty. They can make multiple games. So if they pull people that play Marathon and they pull people that play the other game and then they pull players to get another game, they can slowly peel the pieces off to get other players that were playing Call of Duty to go play their first party games on PlayStation, right? It's a smart move on PlayStation's part because now there's multiple games that they can take the 30 million people that were playing or whatever the number is, right? And they can pull off 250,000 on this game and 250,000 on this other game and 500,000 on this other game, where less and less people, they still might play Call of Duty, but they'll play it less. And they'll start jumping into Sony's games on first-party titles, and they'll start playing the live service games. And that's the mantra going forward, right? Get as many people, right? They're pumping in 60% of their budget into the live service games, Sony is. They're putting 40% development into research and development for live service games, right? So 40% of the staff is moving over to make games. 60% of the budget is moving over to live service games. So that's exactly what they're doing. It's a smart move that they're actually pivoting, right? Since we started talking about, before this generation of consoles came out, I was talking about how Game Pass is and how if Sony wants to survive in this market, okay, because they're the leaders of consoles, but they weren't competing in the Game Pass space. They've now created the PlayStation Plus, which they've upgraded their other service into PlayStation Plus. They've taken their games from PlayStation and moved them over to PC. They've taken games and they've now put it towards live service stuff. So they've all made the things that they were supposed to do to survive in this altering version of the video game space moving forward. Can easily be done with a reboot of basically a super. Killzone was not that good of a game. You might have liked it. I might have liked it, but it wasn't a mass market. It's going to be a hard sell for Killzone. Even though, like, people liked it, it's going to be really hard to have a game. Now, you can do a game that's brand new and try to beat it, but that's the thing. A lot of people don't like older gamers like nostalgia of things. Like, if you bring Killzone back, they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Killzone, but then you're gonna be like, yeah, I didn't really like that. Like, is everybody playing GoldenEye right now? Right? Everyone was so stoked that GoldenEye was coming back out. Who's playing it? Anyone in chat playing it? I didn't even try it. So it's like, let's not be delusional about when people are, nostalgia only goes to a certain point. You want to play the latest, greatest, newest game. That's what people want. They could easily make Killzone better than COD. Easily, right? No, they couldn't even make Killzone popular in the first place. Easily is a word thrown around very loosely. COD makes hell of money, and that's objective. Stop the bleeding that loses Call of Duty would lose. Killzone doesn't carry the weight. No, absolutely not, Water. You're absolutely right. Killzone does not carry any kind of weight whatsoever. Let's look. Let's look up what Killzone made, because when Killzone came out, let's see. Do we even have? Let's see. Total sales. Okay. So a huge number of people who picked up the PlayStation 4 also invested in a zone for, that's not the right one. Hold on. It said zone for killing. That's the wrong one. Hold on 1 second. Oh no, that's right. That's right. Right. Entertainment revealed today that it had sold 2.1 million copies of the PlayStation 4 sci-fi shooter Killzone Shadowfall. The game reached a milestone as of January 15th. Right. Come on, bro. 2.1 million copies. Killzone Shadowfall was the latest entry of developer Guerrilla Games' long-running first-person shooter series. The first players taking control of the elite soldiers. Right. This game sold, right, when it came out, 2.1. It ended up selling 4.2 million on PlayStation 4 around the globe before the end of 2013. Shadowfall was the worst entry. Look, you can move the goalposts all you want, Travis. Facts are that Killzone wasn't a good competitor. It wasn't. It was a speed bump. $2.1 video game charts. All right, how about this? Killzone. Do we have a series sales? Can we get the series sales overall? Okay. So Shadowfall, which Travis says was the worst one. And Travis likes to just toss out numbers, right? Absolutely wasn't the worst one. Okay. Killzone 1 on the PlayStation 2 sold 200,000 copies in the UK alone, but we don't even know the number there. Killzone Liberation was less than 1 mil. Okay. Then you have Killzone 2 with 2.6 mil. Then you have Killzone 3 with 2.89 mil. Then you have Killzone Shadowfall, which is the worst one at 2.1, which was higher than Killzone Liberation for the PSP and also for PlayStation 2. And then you had the Killzone Mercenaries, which is on the PS Vita. Okay. Combined total of all Killzones doesn't even equal what Call of Duty makes on pre-sales. Right? So when you say, it's super easy, you can just bring Killzone back and it'll easily just destroy. Just stop. How good the game should be made? Caught as garbage? Might be garbage. But man, that garbage sure brings in a lot of trash, huh? Lot of trash. Highest selling and best aren't the same thing? No, and everything coming out of your mouth doesn't make sense. Because when I show you actual numbers, because that's what we talk about in reality, right? It doesn't matter what you or me like. It's what the masses liked and paid for. And the paid for, okay, wasn't the worst. So when I tell you a number, what it sold, and you're like, well, and you're implementing because it sold that many, you're like, well, that's the worst one in the series. It doesn't matter what you think of the game or what I think of the game is. The majority of the money that comes in from an actual video game is what actually sells the video game. And the numbers of the video game didn't sell. Hence why Killzone is in the dead zone. If people see a better alternative, they may go to it. Sure. Hence what I just said, if you were paying attention, with PlayStation making 12 live service games, and they're trying to peel pieces of the entertainment around because they know they can't go head-to-head with Call of Duty with one game. Pay attention. I tell a lot of good things here. Infinite Warfare didn't sell well. How much do you want to bet that Infinite War sold more than Killzone's complete entire series? Do you want me to look that up? Do you want me to look it up and tell you what Warfare did? Do you want me to show you what Call of Duty's worst game, in your opinion, made over what you think that Killzone was the best ever? Because I don't mind wasting my time to prove you wrong. Because, again, it has nothing to do with the way I feel about a game. Okay? We look up stuff, and it's actual facts and numbers. The only Call of Duty that would be anywhere near what Killzone was doing would be like the very first Call of Duty. Right? Hold on, let's see. Call of Duty. As of June of 2022, first-person shooter series of Call of Duty generated approximately 425 million lifetime unit sales. For God's sakes. Let's see if we can find. What was the one that Travis said? Oh, Infinite War. Yeah, let's look. Yeah, here's the worst Call of Duty. Let's look at the worst Call of Duty game. Sales 13.6 million. Oh yeah, that's a dud. That's a dud. What a dud. Maybe World War II, 19.82 million. Let's start back up at the top, shall we? Let's start back at the top. Let's look at the numbers. Those of you that are delusional about what they're selling. Call of Duty, the very first one in 2003, sold 4.5 million copies. That's the first one. 4.5. Call of Duty 2, 5.9. Okay, Call of Duty 3, 7.2. Okay, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, 15.7. World at War, 15.7. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, 25.2. Call of Duty Black Ops, 30.72. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, 30.71. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 31 million. Call of Duty Ghost, 28.98. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, 21.76. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 26.72. Call of Duty Infinity War, 13.6. Sure, it's a shittier number. It's still 13 times more than pretty much any other shooter that's out there. Call of Duty World War II, 19.82. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 with Blackout, 14.3. Call of Duty Mobile. Wait, you might have a shot here. 500 million downloads. Oh, nope, just kidding. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Reboot, 30 million. Call of Duty Warzone, 100 million downloads. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, 30 million. Call of Duty Vanguard, it's unknown. You know why? It's probably low sales, but it's still astronomically high. Okay? And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Reboot, and I think the sales of that is like somewhere along 30, I think it's like 30 or 35 mil, right? So let's not kid ourselves that if Killzone came back, all of a sudden it would just pull the numbers away from Call of Duty. Hence why I said what PlayStation is doing is they're not making one game. They're making 12 live service games over the next 6 years to pull people. Like Marathon, when it comes out, obviously it's on multiple systems. Okay, it'll be on Xbox, it'll be on PlayStation, it'll be on PC, and that will pull people from Call of Duty, just like Destiny pulled people from Call of Duty, just like Battlefield pulled people from Call of Duty, right? It's not about one game going up against the thing. It's multiple games underneath one umbrella, which is the 12 live service games. So if they make 4 live service games a year, that's 4 games that can pull people from the Call of Duty space. So yeah, Call of Duty is not making 30 million sales anymore. They might be making 20 million sales. Replacing a game is nowhere near as easy as gamers seem to think. As for the last 10 years, now times, we see a game is like Destiny Killer, only for the game to fall off and die. Yeah, right? But if you can make a consistent amount of games on your platform, one platform, and pull, 250,000, 500,000, 1 million people from here and stuff like that, then you can start making a dent in Call of Duty, because it almost takes, those of you playing Destiny, right? A lot of people would say when they play Destiny, including myself, when you stop playing Destiny, you kind of like open up your eyes and your vision of the rest of the world. You're like, oh man, there's all these other games I could have been playing, right? That's the thing with Call of Duty. Those numbers that they talked about in the courtroom, where they're like Call of Duty players, what was it, like 70%? No. What was the number? It was like some ridiculous percent was 100% just played Call of Duty. They literally just bought a PlayStation to play Call of Duty. There's like a million people do it. That's insane. That's insane. To buy a system for one multiplayer shooter. Establishing and reestablishing any brand takes time. Doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, but they also don't want to put something in because originally Killzone didn't sell. It didn't sell. The year Killzone came out, Call of Duty was making $10 million sales, where they sold 2 million. And again, when we talk about the numbers and stuff like that, it's not about what I think's a good game and what you think's a good game. It's the masses, right? We all have games, movies, music that you might like, and someone else is like, well, that's crap, right? We all have games that people love, and you're like, oh, I love this game. This is a great game. You're like, that's a stupid game, right? I play those games all the time. I liked Marvel's Avengers. I liked Gotham Knights, right? But I'm not delusional to think that, oh, it's a fantastic game. Or should have won Game of the Year. Like, that's delusional, right? That's delusional. But if you had fun playing a game, great. Have fun playing a game. But don't kid yourself and say, this goes to anybody, including myself. Don't think because you like a game, all of a sudden, oh, I should have won Game of the Year. Not even close. Not even close. I've also heard that about Modern Warfare 2. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but saying the best opinion based at best. Again, it's all about the masses. It has nothing to do with the style of games that you like or I like. Something clicks with the public and they buy it. All right, let's go to the next story. Let's go to the next story. Hold on 1 second. All right. Next story. Star Wars Outlaws dev confirms one planet is bigger than Division 2's entire map. Okay. Bigger than the entire map. Yeah, there we go. So, set in a galaxy far away, perhaps no movie franchise is better suited for open exploration like Star Wars. Now, sure, we have an open world galaxy games and franchise before it that offered a degree of exploration, such as Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order / Survivor, and Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, but upcoming Star Wars Outlaws look to blow each of those names into the abyss, into intergalactic black hole. Of course, it's important not to get overly carried away despite the very impressive showing of Star Wars Outlaws at most recent Ubisoft's Forward event. After all, despite knowing that we also have an open world game, we don't know exactly how big it will be. Now, however, as a report of the report of Dual Shockers, the developer of Star Wars Outlaws, claims that every single planet in the game is bigger than Division 2's entire Washington, D.C. map. As a reference, Division 2 and Star Wars Outlaws are developed by the same studio, Massive Entertainment, so this information is about as reliable as it gets. This news was confirmed by Star Wars Outlaws game director. And that being said, it's worth keeping in mind that all the time writing, we do not know many planets that Star Wars Outlaws will feature, but we do know some planets, not all, will procedurally generated. Also confirmed that the players will be able to customize spaceships, speeder bikes, as well as blaster pistols. Nice. I didn't know about you can customize the spaceships and speeder bikes. It says in related news, fans are threatening a boycott of Star Wars Outlaws. No, okay, and that's it. So they're saying that the game, each planet. Now, when we watched the trailer for Outlaws, in the trailer they showed, I think it was like 5 or 6 different locations, right? 5 or 6 different locations, and each of those planets are the size of the map of Washington. Bigger, he says, bigger than Washington. Which is crazy, and that's a good comparison considering it's the same company that created Division 2 is making this Outlaw game. Did you see that Modern Warfare 2 reboot? They're also setting up, again, no Russian Alfred screen. The same thing to set up next Modern Warfare 3. I don't know what that is, Jesse. I'm sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. Are you talking about the story? No Russians. Is that what you're saying? This sounds very ambitious. I look forward to it. I'm excited about it, Water. It's probably the most exciting game I'm looking forward to. But I'm also keeping my excitement like reserved. Right? Because right now, I think it's just a single player game, right? That's all we know. But now you also have the same type of problem. Like, that's a giant map, right? No, 1,000s of planet? What do you mean no 1,000 planets. Yeah, it's like 5, right? So this is actually my next type of conversation here. So you look at Starfield. And then when we saw the trailer for Outlaws, right, we knew nothing about it. And then when we saw the trailer and then we saw the in-depth trailer, they started talking about the stuff. And I was like, cool, you can go on the ships. Now you know you can customize your ships. I don't know how big the customization will be, but you can customize your ships. You can customize your bike. You can customize your weapons. But Starfield has, 1,000 planets. And Starfield sounds more like No Man's Sky or Star Citizen. Where Outlaws now sounds a lot more to me like, an actual game I'm interested in because I don't feel like it's going to be bloated with just like go to this planet and it may or may not have something to do on there. Where I feel like all the planets that are in Outlaws they're procedurally generated, but at the same time there's stuff on there, right? Did he say it was procedurally generated? But we do know that some planets, not all, will be procedurally generated. So that's confirmed. Okay? That's confirmed. Which is interesting to me. Because Jesse playing the game and I'm playing the game, it would procedurally generate completely different worlds for that same planet. But why? Are they doing 5 planets, or are there more than 5 planets? Is that why they're procedurally generating stuff? I don't know. No Russian missions alone in one of the most controversial and awesome missions in the entire COD series. I remember the mission like yesterday. Oh, okay. You're talking about inside the game. Reboot, they're setting up again, no Russian. I gotcha. Because of what's happening now. Yeah, I think this is why I like games that, war games that take place in history and not the future. Correction, Starfield has 5 planets. No, it has well, it does have 5 planets for like story-wise. And I think if you want to compare a game like Outlaws and Starfield up to just the story, like let's say Outlaws has 5 planets and Starfield has 5 planets for like the story. Story and story, I think you can compare the two. But once you go outside of the story and you go into that other 995 planets, I don't know. It might be awesome, but it also might be kind of boring, like it was in No Man's Sky, like it is in Star Citizen. You see an airplane is set up, no Russians. Gotcha. It has 5 planets, period. The others that you can't even land on. But see, here's Travis again, just talking bullshit again. Just bleh. I'm gonna make an emote for you, Travis. Actually, I think we already have one. We already have a emote. It's this one. Another trash take. You just literally just say stuff just to say it. You say stuff just to say it. No, don't feel over. No, you don't get your own emote. We're just using the trash emote for when you speak. I guess it's a small win. I'm not gonna go make an emote for you. We already have one. It's the trash emote. I actually do think that most won't be explorable at all. Travis, they've already literally debunked you before the game even came out. They literally said you can explore all the planets. Win-win. What are you talking about, Travis? They literally said all the planets are explorable. And I'm saying they are lying. And I'm calling you trash. I'm literally saying what you're saying out of your mouth right now is trash. The only one that's lying as of right now would be you. And let me be clear. I'm not calling you trash, Travis. I'm just saying the stuff that you spew in this chat is trash sometimes. And I don't mean it in a vicious way. Who are we trashing? Travis is saying that Starfield's going to have 5 planets and most are not going to be explorable, even though they already said that 1,000 planets and they're all explorable. Who are we trashing? We're not trashing anybody. All right, we talked about that. Let me see what else we got. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. But until the full game is released, I don't trust them. I mean, I'm going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say you're wrong based on the stuff that they said. Now, here, I'll do a different example, though. And you could be right? And here's what I'll do. Because Diablo said there's 120 dungeons, or 150 dungeons is what they said originally. Then they lowered it to 125 dungeons. And then they said there's 120 dungeons. But there's really only 115 dungeons in the game. So they could lie about it. Okay? But they did say 1,000 planets. And they did say that all 1,000 planets are explorable. But they also said 10% of the planets are going to have life on it. Chapter 8 says, why would they lie about that? That'd be a toddler level lie in terms of sheer stupidity. Well, again, Diablo said there's 150 dungeons. And yet in the game, there's only 115. So maybe they're going to add an additional 35 dungeons inside of Diablo between now and whenever. I don't know. There are companies that do say stuff like that, Chapter 8. This is what I think is happening. But if I'm wrong, I'll come here and say I'm wrong. Well, just say you're wrong now, because here's the difference. All the plans are procedurally generated. All the planets outside of the main campaign are procedurally generated. We're too close to the finish line. I'm gonna stay quiet and let Starfield talk for itself. You already know my position. It's on Game Pass. Not 1,000. What do you mean not 1,000 to fucking 5? No. Oh, I see what you're saying. He said, yeah, there's only gonna be 5 planets. Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. Yeah, that's why I said he's trash. When I said what he said is trash. Is the full game out yet? Then we don't know. If I'm wrong, but not yet. I mean, okay. I'm gonna make a special emote when it does happen, Travis. I won't tell you what that special emote is, but I will make a special emote when it comes out that we'll let you know that you're wrong. Exactly, Chapter 8. Yeah, if they come out, and this is why I said the example of Diablo, right? Diablo said there was 150, but there's 115, so there's 35 missing, right? There's 35 missing. So if Starfield came out and only had like 950 planets and not 1,000, sure. If it has less than 500, I'll call it a lie. You've already called it a lie. You've literally already called it a lie. Oh, for God's sakes. Oh, for God's sakes. Come on, Brian. You've already said they're lying. Now you're saying you'll call it a lie if it has less than 500. I mean, come on, bro. Travis makes me laugh. Explorable means you can get off and walk around and you can land on it and take off. That's not explorable. That's exactly what it means. If I could land on a planet and get out of my ship and walk around, that's exactly what that means. Exactly what that means. What I'm saying is, goalpost move. What I'm saying is, if you can land on a planet, and if you find a flower, it doesn't count as explorable. If you find a mountain you could walk behind, it doesn't count as explorable. Yeah. You can literally land on 1,000 planets. Why? Travis, think of the logic that you just said. So you think that they're going to make a planet, procedure generated, and you're going to land on the planet, and then you're just going to take off. There's going to be nothing to find. Nothing whatsoever to get out of your ship to explore, because once you land, you can get out of your ship. You're saying that you're going to be able to land, and then you're just going to take off. I don't know if you could tell. I just popped something in my brain. You'll just land and take off. Okay. I can tell you right now you're wrong. Because if I can get out of my ship, walk around, I don't care if I go 10 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet, right? I can explore. I can find something on that planet that maybe you didn't find on another planet, which counts as exploring. I think that it still counts in their overall 1,000. That's all I care about is the appearance of 1,000, not actual 1,000. It's like you're just digging a deeper hole. You're just digging a deeper hole in your logic of flawless. Go on, Chris. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they? I mean, I agree that you might not find anything on the planet, but to say that you can't explore the planet after they said that you can explore the planets, all the planets are explorable. We have 1,000 planets. 1,000 planets are explorable. 10% will have life on those planets. Doesn't mean you're not going to find no objects on the other planets. So generally believe that they'll create a planet where you can just do is land, look around from your spaceship, and take off. No, what I think he's saying, Cujo, I think he's saying that you're gonna land on the planet, but there's nothing gonna be around you, so you're not even gonna get out of the spacecraft. You're just gonna take off. I'm putting words in his mouth, but I'm assuming that's what he means. Is that Street Fighter? Is that what you're asking, boss? On launch is single player, right? Is that what you're asking? People that lie do it a lot because they can't help themselves. Have you looked in the mirror, Travis? Have you looked in the mirror? Jesse. Oh, Starfield. Yeah, Starfield is single player. Yes. Sorry, when I saw SF, I didn't know you were talking about Street Fighter or Starfield. There's so many goddamn letters that are just the same as others. Like if you talk about D1 or D2, I don't know if you're talking about Destiny 1. I don't know if you're talking about Diablo 1. You know what I mean? Yes. Starfield is single player. We don't know anything other than single player. They haven't announced or mentioned anything about multiplayer in any way, shape, or form. My guess for Starfield is after, down the road, they will make it like a multiplayer thing, sort of like what No Man's Sky did. And my knowledge on that is just guessing, as far as based on what they did for Fallout. Now, Fallout was a multiplayer. Fallout 76, sorry. Fallout 76 was multiplayer from the start. But the way they did it to incorporate humans into the game afterwards was like a year afterwards. And then more people continue to play more because they were interested in the humans coming in instead of just the robots and the mutants and whatnot. And Fallout 76 was like a testing ground for like a live service aspect. I truly believe that Starfield at some point will be a single player game where you play through the story and whatnot, and then there'll be a moment that they add maybe co-op, maybe light multiplayer type of stuff, where you can explore the galaxy with a friend or a buddy or something like that. But that's just a guess. That's not a factual thing. I just feel like the game is so big, it would be better with a buddy, right? At least co-op. Something along the lines of that. Lying is to intentionally deceive someone. My goal is to never straight up deceive someone. And that's not always what people lie for, though. Some people lie not to deceive people, just because they just like to see what people believe or not believe. Chapter 8 says there's being skeptical, and then there's also there being conspiracy theorists. Right. Or because I'm right, Bethesda lied about 76, not mistake, lied. You'll all just overlook. What did they lie about for Fallout 76? What did they lie about Fallout 76? I'm asking. I'm truly asking. That it was a complete game? Or there wasn't 16 times the detail? Like, what did they say about Fallout 76? They lied. Exactly, Cujo. Some people lied not to deceive other people, but to deceive themselves. Like, if you believe it, then it's true, right? They said it was a complete MMO at launch. It didn't have NPCs, so it can't be an MMO. No, first of all, they never said it was an MMO. And then 2, they told you from the beginning that there was no humans. And the reason based on that was because of the story of Fallout 76. Like, you were the only one that came out of the vault. No other vaults are opened up. So in the lore of Fallout 76, regardless if it was a ploy because of the studio, they didn't want to bring out humans, or what, maybe it was broke or whatever, but the story in Fallout 76 was that you were the only surviving human in your own vault and coming out of the vault. There was only the robots and the mutants. And then after a certain period of time, other vaults opened up. So no, they never lied by saying that there was other humans in the thing. Plus, you were playing with other people. They wanted you to play against other factions and other people that were playing the game. So the only other human contact that you had were other people, actual people. There was no NPC humans, which is all part of the lore inside Fallout 76. So you saying that is just showing that you don't know. And it's okay not to know, but don't spew stuff that they never said, because those are lies. I heard they didn't say no NPCs until after launch. No, there was NPCs. There was the robot NPCs and the mutant NPCs. And no, they didn't say human NPCs at launch. They specifically said what they were trying to do. Based on Todd Howard's lack of enthusiasm about multiplayer, I think they're more likely to go ESO's route. Another team, separate game. Creature was talking about this to me months and months ago. He said he thinks that they're going to make a Starfield separate game. And I'm okay if they do that as well, Chapter 8. And he might 100% be right. It's a good theory. I just think Fallout 76 was a good testing ground, right? They can show you. They could even do this in Starfield, right? Let's say Starfield is just a single-player game, but then they do Starfield First, right? Which is like Fallout First, which was the service where you could pay extra money to have your own closed server, and then you can have people in. I can see them doing something like that with Starfield before I see them doing the separate game completely, right? Because they already have the structure of the game. So I don't see them making a separate game. They could, but that's a lot of production. That's a lot of time going into that. Not saying that it's not possible down the road, but shortly after, let's say a year or so, I think they're going to launch something like Starfield's private servers where you can play with your friends, like a co-op, small group of people, and you travel the galaxy together. Something along those lines. When they announced the game at E3, they said no human NPCs. Correct. But there was NPCs. I agree. They never lied about the Fallout 76. We had expectations about the game, but they never lied. Maybe there was only 15 times the detail, and he said 16, and, you know, they get a ruler out and measure that. But I'm pretty sure that there was no lies. Now, if you want to talk about No Man's Sky lies, those were lies that Sean Murray said. But that's a whole different topic. Lots of people want to give Fallout 76 trash, which is fine because it did come out as trash because it wasn't a complete game. But that's basically what they lied to you about. But they never said that, hey, you know, you would assume that a game comes out and it's complete. You heard about how Insomniac Games are not doing live stream on San Diego Comic-Con for Spider-Man 2, but they are putting out some new news about Spider-Man 2 on their Twitter. I didn't know that. Doesn't the 16 times the detail refer to the render and allows players to see farther landscapes? Yeah, it was about the lighting, the light shading, the more crisp graphics and stuff like that. That's when he said the 16 times more detail. Yeah. I was told by a friend day one that it was an MMO, and my exact words were, an MMO for Fallout will be shit and stop caring. but it's not an MMO. An MMO is literally about thousands of people on a server. That's what an MMO is, which we did last week. So we brought up the definition of an MMO because you mentioned another game that was an MMO, and I said that's not an MMO either, right? If you want to call like Fallout 76 or Destiny or even like Division, you want to call that like light MMO because when you're in like the hubs, you get to see a lot of people. In Fallout 76, it's literally like, what is it, 16? Maybe they raised it to like 32, like people on the maps. I forget how many people can play Fallout. Let's see. Let's see, per server. At 24 characters, up to 24 characters. That's anywhere close to an MMO. Right. My point was I was told it was an MMO. I'm saying I was given bad information. Right. Probably because your friends are lying to you. It's probably because they're trying to deceive you. Sorry. Too easy. Minor multiplayer online. Yeah. When a game is an MMO, right, it needs to be massive. And the definition that we looked up yesterday was minimum 1,000, but it's actually more now because now they have mega servers. Like if you play Elder Scrolls Online, they have like 10,000 people per server. Even Diablo is not an MMO, and we don't have a word. And Stubby's putting it minor multiplayer online. Like Diablo is not a massive multiplayer online game either. It's only a certain amount of people in per server. So it's like a light MMO or minor multiplayer, whatever. Speaking of Spider-Man, I've seen more people talking about the movies having issues due to working conditions. For what, Cujo? What are you talking about? I mean, this is possible. It's the same person that said that anyone who thinks Xbox is a good system should be in the mental hospital. And I was like, damn, dude. I mean, that just sounds like a Sony guy. That doesn't sound like... Diablo pretends it's not an MMO, but it's not an MMO, creature, based on the parameters of what an MMO is. And Diablo's weird, right? And I don't know how many of you guys play Diablo. Like, when I say play Diablo, are you playing by yourself? How many people of you guys play with randoms when you see somebody and you invite them to a group? Anybody? Well, the genre of Diablo, boss, is a action role-playing game, but Diablo 4, the way they did the open world, people think it's like an MMO. But it's not an MMO. But it has MMO-like assets in it. You know what I mean? Same, Brain. Same. No, I get it, creature, but what I'm saying is, so, for instance, inside, what's a game I'll play? So, for instance, I could go into Deep Rock Galactic, right? I can play by myself, but I can also do matchmaking, and boom, I get in, and you play with people. In Diablo, I can wait in front of a dungeon, like a nightmare dungeon, and then ask someone to join, and everyone wants to do it by themselves. And it's just weird to me because we have everyone else in the world, but no one plays with anybody else in the world. It's like we all just want to see each other in the town to make the town feel like it's alive, but no one wants to like play with each other in the world. It's the weirdest thing to me. The only time you see people is during the events in the open world or the world boss. But as soon as you ask someone to join your party, they don't. They usually negate it. They're like, "Yeah, no, I don't want that," which is just weird to me. It's like Diablo was trying to force people, sort of like Fallout 76 was trying to force people to fight PvP, but instead the community was like, we don't want PvP. All we wanted was co-op Fallout. And they basically, the player base was like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. You want to team up? And then they go, right? So it's like the studio tries to force you to do something, and the player base is like, no, I don't want to do that. Diablo's trying to force you to play with people, but the player base is like, yeah, no, I played all the Diablos by myself, so that's what I'm going to do. And everyone that played Fallout was like, we're going to make a Fallout game, but we want you to fight against each other. Like, nah, we're gonna play along with each other. Not on purpose, just never felt the push to do so. But that's my point, Stubby. Like, when you play that game, nobody really wants to do it. Regardless of the hate, I love my Series X, and I own a PlayStation 5 as well. Yeah, Leo, I think that in that conversation you just brought up, I think gamers just want to play games where they are, right? If you're a fan of Final Fantasy, you're going to buy a PlayStation to get Final Fantasy. If you're a fan of Gears, you're going to buy an Xbox to play Gears, right? So it all depends on and where you want to play the game, on what box you want to play on. Most of the time, I'm by myself. Yeah. Artists or writers of the Spider-Verse movies have been completely complaining about the movie equivalent of crunch. Oh, yeah. Because they were... So this is what happened with that particular story, Cujo. So what was happening was they were supposed to just make the movie. And then what happened was, because they made so much money off the first movie, they wanted to kind of stretch it out. And this is why they broke this movie up into 2 parts, because they were working so overtime that they decided to make it a separate movie. And then because they were doing it into a separate movie, they were getting more crunch because they had to make 2 films. They had to stretch it out into 3 films instead of 2 films. Hence why it drops. The next one drops next year. Deadpool 3 is now delayed after strike. Yep, all movies are delayed. If you're in production right now, Jesse, all movies are in production hell. So much so that the actors can't promote the movies. They can't show up to premieres. They can't do anything. But here's the thing. There's still productions going on, because if it's a UK production, they don't abide by the rules of the Screen Actors Guild. They have their own union over there as well. So the people that are still working, if you have a production over in the UK, they can still film because they don't have the same stuff as America. But if it's an American studio that's doing this stuff, now Disney is still shooting Snow White, and they didn't stop filming because they're under different rules right now. I mean, Mike, are you technically allowed to do this show? Yes. I'm not in any kind of union. It's similar to Destiny, though, right? I don't know what you're trying to do. You might be going completely against what I'm trying to do, or worse, something I have already done. For playing with people, yeah. I just wish Xbox would have better games for gold games. PlayStation 5 gives us legit less than a year old games with their versions of games for gold. Yeah, but Leo, they're putting the games that would be on gold on Game Pass. You got to remember the difference between what PlayStation's doing and what Xbox is doing. Xbox is literally putting everything on Game Pass. Hence why they literally just shifted everything from gold to Game Pass. Does the writer's strike affect video games? No, unless it's a union writer, which probably it isn't, right? Most of them are not. There's no unions in video games except the ones that are going now. So if a look, here's the difference between writer strike and actor strike. Even though the writers are on strike, they just can't sell or work on projects. But how are you going to know that when you're in your house? They can still write. You can't stop me from writing. I just can't write and pitch it and try to sell it, right? So the writer's strike right now, people that are writers can still write. And they just can't sell their stuff. They can go out and do their everyday thing and go on strike. We're not doing these demands or whatever. And then they're like, go home, and they're like, I'm going to write my next novel. So when this is all done and over, they can sell it, or the next script, they can sell it. Right now, because we're in a rough state, writers, because it's 3 months, there's nothing in production right now. Nothing in production, and no scripts are being pitched. So once it gets back in motion, it's going to be, right now it's a year delay. Because of the 3 months of the writer's strike, it's a year delay. Because by the time they end the strike, which is supposedly not going to end until like October, okay? By the time they do the strike, and then let's say they were working on scripts, even when they give them back to the studio then has to be like, okay, well, let's get it back into motion. We're going to start. It takes time to move these productions. It's not like next week they're starting production. Then it takes anywhere to 6 weeks to 6 months to film, all depending on what you're doing, and then it goes into post-production. So we're talking about a year delay, and if it goes a little bit more, it might be 2 years delay. Miles fights himself. That could be QTR, movie Spider Civil War team. When Team Miguel could be the rest of the movie, and also the Spot on whatever the full power. I thought the movie was great. The movie that was great so far, anyway. It must be great to have a job that you can get strike and not get fired. I mean, technically, you are fired if you're not working. You're not working. So you're unemployed, not getting paid for your work at all. I was part of a union. I was part of the local 600. Right? They're basically, unions are like gangsters. They're like mob rules. Another year of a remake and remaster movie is coming soon. Well, this is why they. So we read an article last week, Water. I don't know if you were here. We talked about Steven Spielberg and George Lucas 10 years ago. Had an article in the Hollywood Reporter talking about how the movie industry was going to come to a collision where there was going to be multiple movies at $250 million budgets that would bomb at the box office. And this year is the year. We've had 5-6 movies that were over $250 million that have made no profit in the theaters. Okay. Just off the top of my head, we have Transformers, Flash, Indiana Jones. You have Little Mermaid, Black Adam, and I forget some of right, like $200 million budgets. So these companies can't make the same things they did before. What's happening in the movie industry right now is going to happen in the video game industry about 5 years from now. Okay, well, maybe a little longer, maybe about 7 years. Okay, they can't keep making the productions the size that they are and make a profit. Right? You look at a lot of games, okay, that are $250 million budgets that are coming out that are not worth the time of production that they're putting into. And the same with movies. Movies that are putting in $250 million plus the $100 million or so, $200 million of extra for marketing. They're not making their money back. They're losing money. Warner Brothers, $50 billion in the hole. Disney is like $40 billion in the hole. They all have problems. Video games are in the exact same position, and they're running towards that wall. The article that we read like 6 months ago, where the guy, I forget what studio he worked for, was saying that AAA games are getting too expensive, and they're going to run themselves into a wall, and they're not going to be profitable anymore. And this is why they're making the shift to live service games. Microsoft has already done the shift, right? Hence why they're putting multiple games on Game Pass that have a live service mentality. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's Gears of War and they keep adding stuff for the multiplayer afterwards. It doesn't matter if it's Forza, Sea of Thieves, Halo, like all the stuff. They make the game and the single player version of the game, and then there's the actual monetization of the game because they can't keep up with it. It's impossible. So what's going to happen? What's happening with the streaming services? Because you can't make a $250 million budget movie and then throw it on a streaming service, right? You can't. It's not going to work. You're not going to make your money back off of that based on the amount of people. You need tons and tons of people to be on your streaming service. Okay, like Netflix, and Netflix is still not profitable at certain times because they can't keep up with the demand. Disney's losing money on their streaming service. Game Pass right now is trying to make a push because they can't get people to sign up for Game Pass, right? They've gotten rid of the dollar thing. They brought it back to the dollar thing. They're now taking gold and moving it over to Game Pass. They need 100 million people to be on Game Pass. Even though they're making $250 million profit, or not profit, $250 million each month with Game Pass, it's not sustainable with the amount of games that they're putting on because they keep throwing money at games. They need constant games coming to Game Pass. In the long run, if they don't get more viewership, they're going to have to change their plan, right? Otherwise, they won't be successful. They need as many people as possible. 25 is nice. 50 million is nicer. 100 million, that's what they need. That's what they're going for. They're going for like 100 million people. This is why they're trying to get people to push towards Game Pass. Cujo says, Disney can eat a buffet of dicks. How do you really feel, Cujo? And companies are literally bankrupt because they have no ideas for a lot of the stuff, right? So if you go with movies, how many remakes are we getting? How many IPs that you already know? Okay, I didn't know they remade RoboCop. Okay, I didn't know they remade RoboCop back in 2014, 2015. One, because my wife was pregnant, we had her kid, and then we didn't really go to the movie much. But I didn't know they remade RoboCop. I was like, oh, okay. They bank on IPs that sold well in the past because they're like, well, yeah, it's going to sell because people know what these IPs are. They're doing the exact same thing with video games. To me, it took them long enough to change it over. Well, Mo, they were trying to get people to push over to Game Pass without changing gold, right? And now they're shoving people over. I mean, Sony did the same thing, right? Sony had, what was their thing before PlayStation Plus? What was it called before? Right? And they just decided to change everyone over to PlayStation Plus. PS Now, thank you. Right? That's exactly what they did. They took everyone from PS Now and said, "Oh, now you're part of PlayStation Plus." Creature's like, how would a buffet of dicks even work? Do they come in a basket, laid on the table? I'm confused. The original RoboCop was cool, especially the first one. Yeah, I mean, obviously, RoboCop 3 is terrible. RoboCop 2 was good, right? But the reboot of RoboCop, I didn't watch it. I didn't even know it existed. I might watch it sometime, but I don't need to, right? I don't want to watch. I didn't watch Total Recall, the sequel with Colin Farrell. I didn't watch that. I did watch the reboot of Judge Dredd, which I thought was a better movie than Stallone's Judge Dredd because it was more character accurate. It's terrible. Yeah, I figured it would be, right? But the point is, studios want to make something they know that people were excited about. Hence why Star Wars, they banked on nostalgia and they lied to you. Talking about lies, Travis, right? They lied to you. They showed you in the trailer about Luke and Han and Leia because that's the people of the old. They want to see those characters. And then when you went to go see the movie, they just shit all over you, right? It wasn't anything about those characters. And they just kind of throw them off to the side. Will the game be good? Probably not. I like the reboot better. Which reboot, Water? You like the RoboCop reboot better? Or the Judge Dredd reboot better? Or the Total Recall? I like Demolition Man. That was funny. Demolition Man is a classic movie. I mean, you had three great people at the time, right? You had Stallone, Sandra Bullock, and then you also had Wesley Snipes. I liked all three better. You liked Total Recall, RoboCop. I didn't see Total Recall or RoboCop, but Judge Dredd to me was a better film. Yeah, much better film. So now you're going with video games, right? So the video games, they rather, once something's proven, right? Like Horizon got sequels, got another sequel coming, right? Uncharted, those sequels, Tomb Raider, the sequels, because they know once it sells, they're like, yeah, Jedi Fallen Order, and then the Survivor. They know, and they're already making a third one. They know that those are going to make money, so they're going to keep making those. But then there's a point. Like, how far do you go? Do you make Jedi Fallen, Survivor, then whatever the next one is, and then the 4 and 5 and 6? There's like a peak of what you can make before people start losing interest. Heather 8 says, I still think COVID and the home theater industry is a big part of it. People can get big screens or projectors and decent sounds at home and relatively cheap. Start the pause and then they wait, etc. Yeah, but here's the thing: if everybody watches their films at home, Chapter 8, and you're not buying the films, like people are not going to buy DVDs or they're not renting them, they're waiting for streaming services, you won't have anything to watch at your house, right? In the short term, you will because there's stuff that's made. But in the long run, there won't be anything because they're not making enough money. Think about this, right? Movie theaters, when you go to a movie theater, you're paying for each individual person to go see that movie. But at home, when you rent the movie, you're paying $7 or whatever it is to rent the film, and or you're paying the streaming service. Now, at least if you rent the movie, you're paying the $5 or whatever it is to watch that movie, but then you can have 20 people in your house watching the movie, right? But if you're watching the streaming service, you're paying $10 for a month. It's not sustainable. So all these people going out to buy television sets and sound systems, you're going to be watching nothing. You're going to be watching nothing. There's so many problems right now that going on vacation, I was looking for movies on Prime and Paramount and Hulu and Disney. I have to go to 15 different places to try to find movies, and then certain movies you can't download. You have to watch it with ads, or you have to get the other edition to get this. They put so many walls up that I can't even watch films, and certain films that they signed them off because they weren't making money on their streaming service. So then they sold that movie or TV show to another one, so they get the $500,000 or $1 million, whatever they got to pay to make money off of that. It's a clusterfuck right now for content. Horizon is garbage. Horizon Forbidden West, and you say that's garbage? Mo, come on now. Stop. Your green's bleeding too much. Fire Stick hurts cinema too. I love theaters, and I'll buy Blu-ray and DVD on movies I like. Plus, me and my wife were trying to watch a movie the other day. What movie she wanted to watch. Couldn't find it on the streaming service. And we didn't own it on DVD. And you can't find it. I forget what movie it was now. It's not hitting my... It's slipping my brain. Most people rent big films, I think. Streaming services don't usually have them. But I don't think people like me or my friends will be going to the theater just to save the movie industry. I'm telling you right now, if people don't go to theaters, if theaters go belly up, you're not going to have a lot of content to watch. So make sure you go buy a DVD player, Blu-ray player, or a VCR, and make sure you have your old movies to watch, because if the movie industry fails, they're not going to make blockbuster movies anymore. They're going to be independent stuff, and it's going to be a cluster. It's going to be like the Wild West of trying to find good television. It's pretty bad now. Like Apple TV, you get to pay them to have an option to pay for more. Yeah, right. Well, if you don't like it, Mo, that's fine. But to say, again, I said this earlier, you weren't here. It doesn't matter if you or me like a game. It's what the masses say, and the masses like Horizon, right? The series. I remember when we thought streaming would be better than cable. Meanwhile, a la carte approach we haven't taken, and we ended up paying twice as much. I didn't think it was better, Water. Well, I had streams on this. I didn't like the streaming services. I didn't like it. I cut the cable because we weren't watching TV, right? And then we got the streaming services. I was like, we're paying more. I saw this from the very beginning. I talked about this. I have tons of DVDs and Blu-rays. Yeah, I have like 350 or 400 DVDs. I haven't bought a DVD in forever. I usually buy digital copies, but I'm saying there's not an insignificant number of people who, if you don't go to the theater, you will stop getting new movies. We'll say, okay, fuck movies then. Oh yeah, well, that'll happen until you're a time where, what are you going to do? Right? You see what I'm saying? People that are watching movies are interested in movies, but they don't realize that if you stop watching movies or paying for movies, then you're not going to get movies. It's that simple. And if people say, well, then fuck movies, then they're going to be like, all right, what am I going to do? Then go watch TikTok. Go watch YouTube. That's what they'll do. Just holds no weight anyway. If Halo was on Game Pass, should she be your hero? Oh yeah, for sure. I get it, Mike. The masses like trash games. They call it a masterpiece. I'm not a fan of Horizon franchise either, but I'm not there. But it's far from bad. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Creature. Like I haven't played it, but to say it's trash or garbage, whatever, come on. And here's the thing, right? So Mo, you like the Halo TV show, and you don't care if someone talks shit about it, but the mass hates it, right? But you're saying, I get it. The masses like trash games, right? The masses like trash shows, but the difference is the masses didn't like that show. It didn't do very good. I think I pay for Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Amazon Prime, a few more, all because of the kids. I hardly watch anything on TV. We got Disney and we got Hulu because of Disney, and we're almost done with it. Right? It's almost done because we paid for that like 2-year in advance type of thing. What else is gone? Oh, Netflix. We have Netflix, but we reestablished Netflix. We lost it for a couple months and then we brought it back because we were just like we weren't watching it. But yeah, you're paying more with all these different things. And my wife wants to watch a show. She's like, "Oh, I heard this show was good, but we have to get Paramount then, and then you have to get the other one, and then you have to get Amazon." And it's like, it's so bad. It's so bad. What does the movie industry just realize? Spider-Man 2 in the movies theater or old movies too, if movies don't have be bombed in the box office. Let me read that again. 30. What if a movie industry just released Spider-Man 2 in the movie theaters or old movies too? What do you mean old? People don't want. There's a small group of people like Star Wars just came back in the theaters, The Return of the Jedi, for its anniversary or whatever a couple months ago, or Empire Strikes Back. I forget what it was. People go back, but it's not going to make blockbuster money. It just goes back just for people that are fans. Oh, I understand and agree with you. I'm just saying that the argument isn't going to make people change their behavior. So if the industry needs that behavior, it might just have to change. But the problem is it can't change. It's not going to change because right now the movie industry is struggling because less people are going to theater. So the people that when a movie hits $1 billion now, because the movie ticket prices have gone up like double since like when Titanic was in the theaters in like 1997, and that made like $1 billion or almost $2 billion. When a movie is now, when they say it's successful financially by the company, they're like, oh yeah, so many people are watching. There's literally half the people that are watching movies in theaters now than originally there was. So a movie back in like 1997, like Titanic, had millions and millions of people watching. Now you have like 500,000 people watching, and they're making the exact same type of money. Right? There's less people interested in going to the theaters. One has to do with the actual COVID. People didn't want to go to theaters, and they're still scared to go to theaters or whatever, right? 2 is the streaming services. Once you give an inch, they want a mile. And people that now look at Game Pass, and I'm jumping back and forth here, but if you give them a streaming service, now people are waiting. They're like, I don't need to see it on the theater because I'll just wait for it to come to a streaming service. It's not even wait for it to come to DVD, right? Transformers is already on Amazon right now that you can rent it. It's been out in theaters for like 24 days or whatever it was, right? Right? How long has Transformers been out? Let's see. How many days was Transformers out in theaters? Transformers has been out for 38 days, and it came out last week, right? It came out last week. So about a month, it was in theaters, and now you can rent it. So most people now, you used to have to wait 6 months to 8 months to a year to rent a movie, right? Now you wait 30 days. So 1, COVID destroyed the movie industry. 2, streaming services ruined the industry because they had to renegotiate the prices, and now you're getting movies coming to streaming services or renting within 30 days, right? They actually signed a contract where it's 17 days, I think is the minimum, right? So it has to be in theaters for 17 days, which is 2 weeks, 2 weekends. right? It starts on a Friday, goes to the following Friday, and then they can come out onto a streaming service. That's what killed. So once people gave into, oh, well, I don't need to go to the theaters because I have a 70-inch screen at home. I have a projector screen at home. I have a good sound system, and I'm not going to spend $100 to go to the theater with my family of 4. I'll just wait 38 days, and then it comes on to Amazon Prime, or it comes on. I can rent it at Redbox or your local store, or off a digital service. And then on top of that, if it doesn't come out to a service, then you don't want to pay the $14. You're already paying for the $10 for Disney Plus. So if I'm waiting for a movie to come out, boom, it comes on the streaming service, and I don't need to pay. I pay $10, and I just wait. It completely destroyed. It undermined the entire business model of what movies were. You say, but Kathleen Kennedy says otherwise. She alone proves good movies won't get made. I don't think most people are afraid of the theater anymore. I think they are just realizing during COVID that they hated the experience and don't have to participate. Sure, and that's fine. And I'm telling you that the industry will fold, and then we're going to be bored out of our minds, and you're going to have to watch those TikTok videos. I saw a clip of one the other day where it's just some girl going, "Hey yo, hey yeah, ice cream, lick." And I was like, what is happening on the internet, right? I was just like, what is that, right? That's the content you're going to get because people are not going to the theaters. Studios are going bankrupt, and there has to be. This is the new medium. You watching me or Lono or any other content creator out there that talks about the news and stuff is it. But if they go belly up, then us as YouTubers don't have any content to talk about either. Right? If they're not making movies, how is someone doing a movie review? A great line in the billions that sum up a current direction of the movie makers. A lot of guys watch Bruce Lee doesn't mean they can do kung fu. Not gonna lie, always waited for DVD anyway. You never went to a theater, ever, Mo. You never went to the movies. See, I went to the movies all the time, and then if I liked the movie, I would 100% buy that on DVD, 100%, because I was like, I want to keep that. But now you can't even buy DVDs. You go to Best Buy or Target, the DVD section is like a frozen food section. It's like super small. You have to rent it on a service, and if you stop paying for that service, you lose all those movies. If movies suck and people don't go, lots of money just sitting. So one will make a good movie to collect the unused money. That's the fact. If they don't make films, Sarge, because no one's going to the theater, then they won't make blockbuster films, and you'll get independent movies. You'll get movies like that. They'll have to start going backwards, right? They'll have to start going backwards and making movies like Blair Witch that cost $50,000 or $30,000, or like a Clerks, right? And I'm not saying those movies are bad in any way, shape, or form, but the studio has to make movies now that are less money, but they're never going to go back down in price in theaters. So are you going to go pay $15 to go see a movie like Blair Witch in the theaters? Or are you just going to wait for it to come on to the streaming service? Something's got to give. They're either going to charge more for the streaming services or for rentals, or you're going to have to go to the theater. New Mission Impossible Part 1 will save the movie industry. Right now, it's not doing fantastic. Right now, Mission Impossible is number 1 at the box office. It pulled in $235 million worldwide. But for the opening box office numbers, Jesse, it's not doing very well, right? I mean, it made 16, 21, and 18 for the first weekend. It needs to maintain that for a good 3-4 weeks if it's going to be like Top Gun or anything like that. Here, I'll bring up another. Let's see what and we'll compare it to the other top. We'll compare it to another Tom Cruise movie, right? So look at the difference. I don't know if you guys can see that. Top Gun made 52 million, 38, 36, 33. Now we go to Mission Impossible. Right? 16, 21, 18. I don't know if that's going to save the movie industry. Big Bobby says, I've never been to the movies. Come on now. I think a new market will replace it. Sort of like how the arcade owners and people who loved arcades were saying that Xbox and GameCube would ruin the industry and the arcades would close. But they did, Chapter 8. Arcades did close. Thousands and thousands of arcades across the world closed. And they replaced them. Most arcades now have redemption tickets. Right? And very, very little games to actual play. And the games that they have in the arcade, some of the games are games that you can play at your house. The impetus lies entirely on the movie industry to make interesting films, not only good blockbuster films made recently. I would be bothered to see a theater was Top Gun Maverick. Everything else has been terrible, absolute garbage. Gaming didn't end forever, just different gaming. Sure, but that's also like saying like the vinyl record business is booming. Right? Music is not dead, it's just adapted. But how many record stores do you see in malls now? How many places do you go to buy records or CDs? Right? No, I mean 30 is that they should just be staying in the movie theaters for a while. Jesse, what they need to do, which is really hard to do, is that because new movies are coming out all the time. Back in the day, there was less movies being made. Now there's being more movies made. Okay, they can't keep movies in the theater too long because they stop other movies from coming in. So this is why you have the multiplexes where they had 21 theaters and 30 theaters and whatnot, because they can move the big movies to the side theaters and they can stay in there for a long period of time. There was an article that we read last week about Steven Spielberg where E.T. was in theaters for a year and I think 5 days or something like that. Titanic was in the movies for almost a year. My Big Fat Greek Wedding was over a year and a half in theaters, and it was still making money. You can't do that with movies nowadays because they cost too much. They open up in 4,000 theaters now, mass-wise. They're trying to make more money up fast, quicker, and then they push them out. Correct. They're still making music, but musicians now skip out completely on the record labels and stuff. Like Taylor Swift, she doesn't use anybody. She uses herself and posts her own things, right? You can't do that with movies because a musician can make music by themselves. It's really hard to make a film by yourself. Really hard. Because unless you're being the actor, the actress, the director, the cameraman, you're doing everything by yourself, it's really hard to do that. Yeah, but it's different though, Chapter 8. I understand what you're saying, but it's a completely different. An artist, like painting a picture or making music, yes, you can collaborate with people, but a musician can make music by themselves. You cannot make video games. Well, you can. They've seen it. Tunic guy made completely by himself, but it took forever. Notch made Minecraft, took forever, right? But for the majority, you need more people. BattleBit has at least 3 people making the stuff, right? No Man's Sky had like 12 people, I think, when they were making it. Find me a movie where they only used 1 person to 3 people to make a film. Until the next big movie comes out, they'll move out of good ideas. The movie industry right now. Movie industry is in trouble. Trouble. I mean, obviously, I think this will make 800 mil. Like, I think Mission Impossible will make money. I think a lot of people's problem is right now, they're not going to the theaters to watch it because they haven't seen the other ones. How many of you haven't seen the other Mission Impossibles, or you stopped at 2 or 3 and didn't see 4, 5, and 6? Right? And they feel like they have to go watch those first, right? To then go see this movie. I would like to see what Paramount, because I think Paramount is where you can watch them. I wonder what the uptick of subscribers came to Paramount the last like month or so, because people want to watch the other Mission Impossibles. That's the only place you can watch it unless you own them. Before they went to the theaters to watch this. And this has been a pretty inevitable ever since the TV and home sound system became high quality for cheap. Some people always love theaters, just like I love Broadway. Right. Well, they were talking about how they're going to have to make movies and stuff like an event, like a Broadway or like a something else, where instead of having a movie where this is what they really need to do. I think this is how they switch the movie industry. Are you ready? They come out in the theater, and it comes into theaters, and that's it for, let's say, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's it, right? Then it goes dead. It doesn't go to a streaming service. You can't rent the movie. You can't do anything. You got to wait. And then you push it back like the old of like 9 months to a year. Okay? Now, I know this sounds ridiculous because you're like, there's no way they're going to make money. They're not making money right now anyway. Okay? So if you put it in theaters for just a small period of time, only in theaters, like the Phantom events and stuff like that, right? Or Broadway, it only runs on this for this period of time, and then that's it. Okay? Then a year later, they're like coming back into theaters, or it's now on DVD. That's the only way. If you put it on a streaming service, you're killing the movie. You're killing the movie. Cujo says, I'm ready to bend the knee to my robot overlords. But yeah, budgets and the projects and whether it comes to theaters, costs, and the timing of home purchase will change. Well, right, because the price came down. Like, you remember when TVs used to cost $3,000 for the big TVs? It was expensive. DVD player. I remember a DVD, a Blu-ray player. It was cheaper, okay, to buy a PlayStation 3 than it was an actual Blu-ray player because it played games, and you could have a Blu-ray player. Yeah, it's crazy the way the industry, and this is the way I'm looking at it for games, for Game Pass. I think Game Pass is a great value for customers, but in the long run, it's going to ruin the industry because everybody else that has games is going to have to go on a service. Not all the services could survive, okay? And then the quality of the games comes down, just like the quality of movies comes down, because they have to get them in theaters as fast as possible to compete against other people, and they can't. Look at the CGI in most of these movies and stuff that came out. It's bad, right? The quality of movies have come down. The prices have gone up. But they have to make great films. The subpar woke shit will never sell. Yeah, but just basic, Farmer, just the basic level. They have to lower the budgets, and they have to make good stuff. But they can't make good stuff, one, because of the writing, right? And the propaganda that they're trying to push, right? I just want to be entertained, right? I just want to be entertained. Okay? I don't want to be preached to. I just want to be entertained. I don't care. Like, there'd be no difference if there was woke shit in a thing, if they didn't come out ahead of time and tell you that this is what we're doing, this is what we're like, this power, that power, whatever, right? We just want to go watch a movie and be entertained. Let the people that watch the movie just watch the movie. Stop trying to push. That's one problem. The next problem is that the CGI and all the stuff that they're doing, it just looks bad. It looks bad. It looks so fake. Remember when we watched Star Wars back in episode 1, when you saw the droids go up against it was like a CGI battle versus a CGI battle? You're like, oh, it's cool. But you're like, it looks fake. Well, now it's 20 years later. We're desensitized. We see all the special effects. We're like, You used to not be able to tell, and now you can tell. I remember the first movie my parents watched on big TV was Titanic. Still had a huge 1,000-pound, 32-inch. Oh, my God. Those TVs were so heavy. So heavy. I had a 32-inch when I was at college, right? Back in the early 2000s. I had this tube television. It was a Samsung. And it was in my dorm room when I got there. Like, someone bought it and left it there, and then it was mine because it was in my room. And when I moved out of college to my own house, I had to get 2 of my friends to help me lift this thing. This thing had to weigh like 500 pounds. The most awkward like position. It was gigantic. You couldn't get into the car. We had to get a truck. Like, it was ridiculous. Now I have a 55-inch that I can lift with like one hand. Did you see the new Xbox name change for gold? Yeah, it's someone posted in a Discord earlier. Isn't it like Game Pass 1 or something like that? Let me see. It's Core. That's it. Game Pass Core. One fell on top of me once when I was dancing enthusiastically to the Backstreet Boys concert. Right. You laugh, but you almost died. I'm laughing because you almost died, but I get it. I'm laughing because I get it. You know what I mean? 30 question. Is it 30 questions or 30 question? For you, do you really think that the new Dave F. new Star Wars movie? Oh, Dave Filoni, new Star Wars movie would be great for movie theaters. If Dave's movie might be what did for the movie theater to get back of the day. I don't think they could put anything in theaters now. Star Wars brand is absolute in the trash can. There's rumors that Disney might be just selling. Again, rumor that Apple might buy them. Right? That's going around the internet right now, which would make sense because they're the only company that could buy them. Right? Here's how bad we are right now. Disney's in bad shape. They're literally shutting down the Disney Channel. 40 years, the Disney Channel. Okay? Because it's not profitable anymore. Because people are going to other places to watch or they're not interested anymore. Like, that's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that if we want to talk about how a company loses its identity, Disney has lost its identity. Because the Disney Channel was literally made to promote Disney, the theme parks. Just like Transformers, right, was created, the show was to push the toys. Okay? They are literally shutting down the Disney Channel. If Walt Disney World, obviously would be over 100 years old. If Walt Disney World was alive today, he'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? This is the whole brand of what we're done here. And you guys are closing down the Disney Channel? They ended up selling that shit back to Lucas on the low. 9,000 IQ. I had a video creature on the old channel that I had. I can't find it. I downloaded it, but I can't find it. I had a video talking about George Lucas selling it and then getting it back, and he did it on purpose. He basically did what the Emperor did in Star Wars. And George Lucas is the Emperor, right? And he was playing both sides. I predicted this. I'd be hilarious if he bought it back. Just to reiterate, Disney can eat a buffet of dicks. I just wow the You should do a small end segment of Thursday night show called 30 for 30. But then again, you might get sued by Disney. So never mind. Well, the good part would be, Water, if I did get sued, that means people are watching, right? Wait, Disney Channel is shutting down? Where else are they going to produce the future crack addicts? Yeah. No, but that's just it. The Disney Channel, say what you want, was a staple of basically everyone's childhood, right? And how it evolved over the years, and it is shit now, and that's sad. You got a video about everything. I do, Travis, and the best part was, they're all videos, so you can go watch me talk about it. We had a conversation the other day, right? Duplass brought up that this person on the internet was full of crap and not to be believed or whatever. And I said, what's the difference between her and me, right? Is I'm not looking for validation, right? most people on social media are looking for validation. They're looking because they have sources or whatnot, and they say stuff. Now, what I say is I predict a lot of stuff, but I'm predicting it based off of like news. Like I read a lot of articles, I read a lot of things, I see a lot of things, I watch a lot of videos, and I don't take everything that I see for face value. What I look at is I look at articles and then I read between the lines. I look at an interview and listen and listen between the dialogue, right? What they say or how they say it or what they do. And then I come up with my overall thoughts and I say it and I put it on the video and I talk to you guys on video. And sure, a lot of it doesn't come true, right? But a lot of it does come true. I would say more of it that I predict comes true than it doesn't. Now, I would have to go back and see what I predicted and whatnot and take like a toll, but I honestly don't give a shit, right? It's not about like, oh, look at me, I predict. But the only difference between me and a person out there that's writing a blog, okay, is that they're credible because they have a platform that's reputable or somewhat reputable. So they're like, oh, well, they write for a company. So they get the credibility because they have sources, right? I don't have sources. I could get sources. I have lots of friends that work in the film industry and video game industry. When I went to Full Sail, I still have contact where I can get in touch with all these people, but I don't. I just have a lot of experience with the industry. I know a lot about the stuff. I read a lot about all the stuff. I talk to a lot of people, but I don't have sources, right? I just put 2 and 2 together and I put it together, and that's how I do my stuff. Disney's slashing jobs. Microsoft is going to buy 30 in Gaming show. I would sell. So I'm making I'm making all this money, Big Bobby. I make all this money over here. George Lucas will then make a proper Obi-Wan series. Dude, Obi-Wan series is such a bad series, Jesse. I'm still bitter about it. Come on, Scotty B. Disney owns a cable company option by January and owes like $5 billion. No, I think they owe more than that. Sarge. Was it Comcast, right? Oh, no, it is. So when the deal was made in May of 2019, Disney was to buy Comcast's stake at Hulu at a minimum of $5.8 billion, with the valuation of Hulu set the floor at $27.5 billion. So NBC Universal would have to keep its content on Hulu through the end of 2024. So the deal's set floor valuation is $27.5 billion. They owe $27.5 billion to Comcast. And in the last, I'll say 5 years, accredited journalist doesn't mean shit anymore because the groups like IGN and Kotaku. And I agree, but we also just take the articles and we read them here, right, Travis? But like I said, we just have conversation. I'm not swinging stuff around. None of the stuff I say is factual, right? I tell you it's my opinion. This is what I think. This is what the same thing as other people do out there. There's no difference, right? Some people have sources. Some people don't have sources. Some people say they have sources. I can guarantee you I have no sources. 0 sources, right? Hence why when I say something, people listen. And if you're here and you hear me say certain things, you're like, oh, 30 was right about that, right? And if you're not here and you come in at a later date and you're like, see, guys, I said this. I predicted it. They're like, man, sure, this guy predicted it, right? Like, I'm just a nobody on the internet. But the way I break down my stuff is basically reading between the lines, right? I was right about what Game Pass, what Microsoft was doing with Game Pass. It was right about the certain things of different companies making games and the game coming out being bad or going to be out. It's going to be bad when it comes out. That's not me guessing. That's me listening to a lead leaving or a head writer leaving or being delayed a couple of months. You're like, well, this is not going to be good, right? So be wary. Don't pick up this game at day 1 launch because when it comes out, they lost their lead. They did this. Like, It happens. And I know people look at it and go, well, I'm trying to be, positive about stuff. I'm just reading the news and giving you my thoughts. You don't have to agree with me. Exactly. You're not trying to sell anyone. And if someone disagrees with you, you don't fly off the handles. No. And I'm okay being wrong, right? So like if I don't know something, I'll look it up, right? And that's what we do here, right? If like earlier today, you're like, this game sold a lot, I was like, well, let's look it up. I didn't know the what Killzone sold. So we looked it up, right? I knew it didn't sell well, but I didn't know what it sold. So then we looked it up, and then now we have a conversation about it. We're like, look, this is what it sold. That's what we do here, right? We just have a conversation. It's like if I went over to your house, you're like, hey, did you hear what Ted did the other day? Yeah, what did he do? Right? We just have conversations. I'm sad. I'm sad about the film industry, man. I am. But they did it to themselves. You know who's in good position? You know who's in really good position for the film industry? Get this, right? Because the camera department, they don't think there's anything wrong, right? Because they're not worried about AI taking over their jobs. Well, they should be. Because what game company has their hands in almost all film productions now? Anyone want to guess? Anybody want to guess? This is another prediction I put forth a couple years ago. I said, watch out, because these guys are not just a gaming company anymore. Anybody want to take a guess on who's setting up for the future and they're going to be bigger than pretty much any studio out there? They're like E3, they killed themselves. Yeah, the film industry did a number of themselves. Travis says Sony. Nope. Yep. Epic. They're using the Unreal Engine to make backgrounds, worlds, everything. Okay. They also bought two major things. They bought a face recognition for capturing people's faces, and they also captured the body for rendering for the 3D models and stuff. Okay, so people right now are worried in the film industry. Okay, people are worried in the film industry about AI taking over, and Disney actually tried to do this, right? So we said this last week, but Disney actually tried to do this. Disney wanted to pay extras to come in. Okay, so an extra gets paid like $250. Okay, gets paid $250 for an extra. They wanted you to come in to scan your face. Then they have your face in a database. Okay, and they never have to hire you again. Okay, so think about this. Epic has the face recognition or the technology. They have the body technology. You come in for a day for $250, and they never have to put another extra in a movie again. They can just scan thousands of people, pay them the $250, go on their way. And then in every freaking movie from here to Kingdom Come, okay, you can put the same extras, change their outfits, change their closet. You could put them in different hats, same person. You could put whatever they want on it, and now they are NPCs in your movie. Never have to pay another extra again. 2, Epic has the camera system inside the thing. Right? They've already built in a system when you're in for the room. Right? No residuals. They're just extras. They don't pay them shit. Okay? This is why the actors are on strike for their likeness, and the extras are not in part of a union. Right? Extras are just, you can get part of a union by being an extra and then getting speaking roles, and then you get into the AFTRA and SAG. Okay, so they're fighting for actors because they can take Mark Hamill, which he did sign off his likeness for Star Wars, so they can use Mark Hamill in anything they want to use now. Okay, as Luke Skywalker, and Epic now has the camera system inside the actual thing. You don't even need, like, if you go to Fortnite, you can free camera, right? Go around. That's the camera. You could change the aspects of the camera with the f-stop inside the camera virtually. You don't need cameramen anymore. You don't need a first person or first AC to rack focus or pull anything anymore. You literally can do it all inside the actual software itself. So we were just talking about earlier, you can't have a one-man person doing a movie, or can you? Right? Because now if I have the Unreal Engine 5 and I can take a database of something, and I'm talking about Disney, right? Not just a person, but if I have Disney's capability of having all the extras inside the thing, now I can use those extras and I can use them in the background. And I can make my own sets and I can use the cameras and position everything I want. Why do I need anything? Why do I need to go hire people, right? Now you still need actors to do the voicing and stuff like that, or do you? Because I can type in a script. Hell, I don't even need to type in a script. I can tell Chat GPT to type a script, okay? And then it does a script. And then I could take that script and go over to a AI voice creator, type that script into the thing, and then there's a voice that automatically says it back to you, and it speaks really good. And then this is just the beginning of what we're in now, right? So all these people are like, oh, yeah, I'm not worried about it. You better be worried, because everyone's being replaced, at least in the arts. Skynet's on its way. It's terrible. If you fall for that, you're stupid. If you fall for what? Am I falling for what, Big Bobby? What am I falling for? What time is it? It's 12:30. Yeah, so it's gonna be a hard thing to do in the future. Epic is not longer a video game company. They're going to be an Epic, like they're going to be a 100% gaming movie studio. So years before it was a possibility that anyone could have foreseen, Mark Hamill is stupid. What do you mean, creature? I heard the AI video of Picture Nacho singing "Creep." It's incredible. Oh yeah, with the hologram technology, selling your face for $200 to $300. That's it though. If here's the thing though, when you come in as an extra, like, oh yeah, we're just scanning you for this movie, and you're thinking, okay, you're selling it for just this movie. They scan you in for that movie. As an extra, you have no rights. It's either yes or no. You sign the paper or you don't sign the paper. It's very simple. They can go up on the street and tell someone, hey, you want to be in a movie? Yeah, sure. We'll pay you $300. Oh, yeah, great. All right, just sign here. And they're like, okay. Boom. I got the message from a site. I posted a talking cat is now following you, and I've never been so scared. No, he sold his likeness just recently. I think it was like a year or two ago. If you're talking about Mark Hamill, that I brought up. Let's see. Is Mark Hamill entitled to the royalties of his likeness? Does Mark Hamill get residuals for Star Wars? How Mark Hamill would feel about his digital likeness? There you go. So February of 2022. Let's see. Imagine it might be dependent across the actor's contract, but it's also interesting to see the new most actors are their agents, probably never considered, let alone 40 years ago. Let's see. Someone says a year ago, SAG would never allow the company to use the actor's likeness without paying them. Mark has a new kind of contract that allows him and his likeness to be used with any kind of CGI body double, de-aging voice, and voice AI, and still receives full credit as himself. He has also stood in acted out parts, only to be removed and replaced later, on top of various uncredited voices and sound roles too. So he's got it in his contract. So whatever his contract is, but he never has to basically. So Disney has his likeness, and they can use him as Luke Skywalker in anything. And then anytime they use him, they pay him a residual. Wait, for anyone to sell their likeness, no one in the studio can make more money? That's stupid. Well, they can make money, but at the same time, you not being there and you being there, obviously they don't have to fly you. They don't have to pay to feed you. They don't have to do anything, right? So they're saving money that way as well. To be fair, didn't they sell his likeness primarily for the young Luke stuff in Mando at all? Like otherwise, they'll have to have a recast him, try to pull off 70 years. No, they're actually there was talks that they were actually going to do a young Luke Skywalker series. They were going to make a show on Disney Plus that was going to be the adventures of Luke, you know, between the years of Return of the Jedi and what we saw him, and it was going to be him and R2-D2 going and trying to find Jedi and whatnot. Obviously, this is loosely, but yeah, they would use his likeness. So obviously, they would get a different actor, but then they would visually put his Mark Hamill's face on the actor. Sounds like a deal to me. I don't have to show up or work, and I get paid. Sure, I guess. What's going on, Robert Jones? Sure, I guess. Sebastian Stan for a few months. Yeah, he looks pretty close. They were thinking of doing it as well. Yeah, so it seems like a good deal to sell his likeness, and otherwise you have to jump bump kiss. Oh, get booted. Well, sure. I think what it was they could have him come back and they could de-age him. That wasn't the problem. He was just like, yeah, I'm giving you, and I think this is why he did it. I don't know why, if it says it somewhere. Thank you, Robert Jones, for becoming a member. I think the reason he did it was because Mark Hamill, obviously his career got started because of Star Wars, and
thanks for becoming a member.
He's known because of Star Wars, and I think because you could see when he was doing the the publicist stuff for the new movies, that he didn't like the new movies, and then they told him to cut it out and whatnot, but he didn't like them, and I think what he wanted was to at least give them the option to do it, and maybe it had something to do because he didn't sign the deal until after Carrie died. So maybe that had something to do with it as well, as when his friend Carrie Fisher died. He's like, will I live on, right? If they want to keep making Star Wars, what are they going to do? And maybe because her daughter said yes to make Princess Leia in what was it, Rogue One, that he decided to then say, okay, you can use my likeness and whatnot. I don't know. It seems like he did it for the gist of the fans, not because obviously he's getting paid as well. But it's still, they can use his not in every project, just his projects in Star Wars. If they wanted to use him, they can keep using it, and then he didn't have to go and do it. He can still do the voiceover and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. Productions save a ton of money, though, right? They don't have to feed you. They don't have to fly you. They don't have to house you. They don't have to do anything. That's a shit ton of money saved for scanning someone's face, and they fly you out, get all your information, and then they never have to use you again. Like, hey, how'd I do? And he just receives checks in the mail. Just like, yeah, I got a check. Worked in 8 Star Wars flicks the other day. Never lifted a finger. Be interested to see what happens in the future with that stuff. Right. And I think that's the reason he did it. Right? He's always going to be Luke forever, but now he can literally be Luke forever. Right? Because for us, for the old movies, he's always going to be Luke Skywalker. But now he can live on inside the films. Y'all see the new Black Mirror show? I've never even watched it. Never watched the Black Mirror show before. Kind of speaks to this. What do they say in the movie or the show? I personally don't want AI to take over. I'm okay if AI comes in and you work hand in hand with it, but to completely just cut out humans and have AI do everything, not feeling that. And I'm not even in the industry anymore. But it's gonna affect video games in the future as well with the AI and whatnot. Actress signed her likeness away to AI. Yeah, see, it's weird, dude. If they were smart for the Star Wars stuff, they would take Luke Skywalker's story and they could literally make season after season after season of Luke going on adventures. And if they were smart, they could do the just like they did the show back in the day, the Young Adventures of Indiana Jones. They could do the same thing with Harrison Ford if they wanted to. Our robot overlords will not take kindly to your resistance 30. I'll just be like this. I'll be like, welcome to 30 and still gaming. Ha 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 ha. Squall Monster. Maybe Valve could use the potential AI to finally make Half-Life, right? Right? They finally finished the game to make Half-Life 3. That game's never happening. Or better yet, no, it'll happen, but it'll be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Like, son of a bitch. Seriously, we can't get it on a new system? All right. It's 12:30. I'm done for the day. I'm done for the week, actually. I will be back on Wednesday, July 26th at night. I don't even know if we'll be able to stream. I don't know what time my flight, if I don't get delayed or not. Knock on wood. So we're done. This week, tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, and Thursday morning, I played Exoprimal this weekend. You guys get the raw footage of me playing, and I just give you my thoughts as I'm playing through it. I can tell you, I like it, and I'm confused by it. More things is opening up for me, but you guys can watch those broadcasts. They start tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning in this spot. And then there's one at night tomorrow night, which is like 30 minutes. And then Wednesday and Thursday, both at 10 o'clock as well. Then I'm off, obviously, for the weekend like I usually am. And then we come back on Wednesday. So you guys won't see me for 7-8 days. I'll still be in Discord and stuff talking. But other than that, you will not see me. There's no podcast this week on Thursday nights as well. So I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can also go as a member as little as $5. Beating up helpless dinosaurs. It's a fun game creature, but you know what? It has a game mode there that is basically Gambit, and I hated Gambit. I hated Gambit in Destiny, and I don't like it in Exoprimal. The actual mechanics of the gunplay and stuff is fun. Your abilities are fun. Shooting the dinosaurs is fun. But the whole game mode, and the story is okay. The story seems okay. I don't like the way it's meal pieced together, the way like you do a mission, listen to a story, do a mission, listen to a story, do a mission. But the problem is it's the same mission. It's like the same things over and over. Yeah, sorry about that, Chris. Yeah, we didn't plan it that way. I didn't know Lona was going on vacation until last week. And then we've had this trip planned for like 2 months. So we're going to visit my buddies up in Texas. We're going to Austin, Texas, and then we're going to Minnesota for some family stuff, and then we're ending up in Wisconsin. So welcome to July in YouTube. Yeah. So we do have some stuff. You can watch my past broadcasts if you missed any of those. You can go listen to our GXG podcast. I might go live for like maybe a half hour to an hour while I'm on vacation. just a little bit, right? I don't know. Talk like this. Who knows? Probably not, but who knows? So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the likes, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Peace.